Hello, everybody. Welcome to Growth Without Risk, brought to you by ChiroSecure. I have been using ChiroSecure now since I graduated in 1989. So I have been a lifetime chiropractic member. I love ChiroSecure. I feel great about their product and their services. And I think everything is so awesome about what they do, especially giving you information like this. This to me is the most exciting thing, because to do practice without risk and to do all the other things they do with Dr. Monica Berger and Dr. Eric Qualke, unbelievable stuff, great service. So let's talk to you today about something that I think you may never have heard of before, and it's something called Lean Six Sigma. I'll say it again, Lean Six Sigma. Let's start with the slides. And what you'll see with Lean Six Sigma is something completely different. It's a different way to think about things, to think about your business, to think about, are you efficient in your business or not? So let me just give you a little story of how this all happened. A bunch of years ago, about 10 years ago or so, I was reading an amazing book by Dr. Stephen Covey. You probably know Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So I was reading his last book before he passed away, The Third Alternative. Unbelievable. If you haven't read that book, go there. Go right now on Amazon. Go to the library, do something, Apple Books, and get this book, because it's a profoundly impactful book. In that book, he mentioned this other book called Continuous Quality Improvement in Healthcare. And I said, that's kind of a name, because I always want to improve my office, always make it better. And in that book, talked about this concept of something called Lean Six Sigma. Now, I have a couple of people who are in industry, high-level execs in industry, and I've heard them talk about Six Sigma before as being some efficiency ratio kind of thing that Deming used when they went into Japan after World War II, and they were trying to make like Honda and Toyota, all these companies that were these little companies, be more efficient. So I had heard about it, but I hadn't really ever thought about using it or applying it to anything that we do. But then I picked up this book called Lean Six Sigma Demystified by a author. And the reason I picked it up, I happened to be in a Barnes & Noble, and there's actually a section on chiropractic in that particular book. So I said, this guy knows chiropractic. I really should check it out and see what he says. And this is what we're talking about. And here's a quote. It was in the book from Emerson. There's always a better way of doing anything. Lean Six Sigma is about eliminating waste in a busy chiropractic office, which is wait time. And I said, wow, I never really thought about, like, I had this procedure. I've been doing this for like 20 something years. And I hadn't really thought about, like, can I improve this? Can I make it better? Is there a way to make it more efficient, to get what I want? I hadn't really put any thought to it, except for like moving furniture and maybe changing forms and stuff. Certainly changing the way I examine, but I didn't think about it from the patient's point of view. I thought about it from my point of view. And he also mentions, J. Arthur does in his book, the amazing book, The Great, Good is the Enemy of the Great, from the quote from Jim Collins. Another great book. If you haven't read that one, Good to Great, another phenomenal read. Just because your 5 senses let you detect problems patterns at one level doesn't mean that they can help you at more subtle levels. So what that means is, like, you're looking at your own office and you don't kind of look at your own office flow from a patient's point of view, then you're really not looking at it in a way to change it. So Lean Six Sigma is about a way to measure something. Can we be more efficient? Can we measure it more effectively? And the term sigma is a standard deviation concept. So it presented in this, and I'm extrapolating because it didn't talk about offices, it talked about businesses. But like a 1 sigma business or an office, you got long waits, high price, bad staff, rude doctor, right? Nobody wants to be part of that one, and we certainly don't want to epitomize that. A 3 sigma office is like, yeah, I went in, I got what I wanted. All right, whatever. A 5 sigma office is an industry leader. They are very efficient. They are very effective. It's a great overall experience. But a 6 sigma office is one step above that. That's like the world-class team, right? That people go in and they leave, they're like, wow. And they tell everybody they know, and people come from all over the world. And that is the kind of office that I wanted. So I said, okay, what do I have to do this? So reading this book, I realized that there were 2 things I need to do to measure, to accelerate the patient experience of healthcare. Because what Mr. Arthur was saying is that a faster patient flow equals a greater patient satisfaction. And that makes sense, right? If we can get them in, get them out quicker, we'll have greater satisfaction. So there's 2 measurements I came up with. It's not in this book, kind of extrapolated based upon what their terminology is. And the 2 measures were D2A, which is door to adjustment. In other words, when the moment the person walks in the door, how long does it take for them to get from the door to the adjustment? And number 2 is the new patient time. And not just like how long does it take an overall, like you put on a stopwatch, and then when they leave an hour later, you close it. All the steps. Let's measure all the steps. So this was a very interesting undertaking that I did back in 2012 with one of my former interns. And we actually wrote a paper on it and presented it at an ACC RAC conference back in 2012. We had a poster. And now I'm actually doing it again because I got excited. I kind of refound this point and this information. And I said, I want to share this with you guys. And I'm actually going to start measuring this in my office again. So there's two things we're going to talk about. The value stream map is essentially looking at all the steps of your new patient exam. So from the moment they walk in, what happens, and kind of mapping it out. And what they recommend is writing it out on a chart like this, which they call a value stream map. And can you eliminate the goal is, can you eliminate anything? Is there any steps that are being duplicated, being wasted time, things that don't have to happen? Are there any things you can do to say, I'm going to chop this down? They call it muda, right? Because this is a Japanese terminology. So muda is waste. Is there any muda happening, any non-value added step? And because what we're doing, like I said before, is we're focusing on the patient experience, not the doctor experience, the patient experience. And what you're going to do is take Post-its, right? Take some Post-its and then think, and you and your team get together and do this. What does a new patient exam look like? They walk in and are greeted by the front desk. Post-it number 1. I'll show you what my Post-its look like. I have them in this book here, right? It's like this whole section of Post-its right here, right? So number 1, they walk in and talk to the front desk. Number 2, they get paperwork. Number 3, they fill out the paperwork, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we had all these steps. And we said, is there anything that could be wasted? So this was my new patient exam value stream for my office, right? And we used this guy's software. He has his own software that you can use for free for like the day trial, which I think we did. I highly recommend using it because it's helpful in creating this kind of thing. So what we did is we mapped out, and we had this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 step process from the moment they walked in the door, these 6 steps. And we looked at it. We said, there's a couple of things that we can do where there's time that is wasted. So what we've noted is that there was a wait between the paperwork and then getting in the exam room to doing history. Then there's another wait, and then there's another wait at the end. Because what we used to do is at the end, I would come in the middle, and then the interns would finish up, and then they'd come get me again to do like a say goodbye. We said, that's a big waste of time. So this is what we did. You see those big X's? Those X's are the things we eliminated. We eliminated those wasted times. So we said, instead of having that wait time between paperwork and the new patient exam, what can we do? It's like giving them electronic paperwork, right? So early on 2010, we was email to them. Now we either email to them or hand them something to start doing this on. Number 1. And number 2 is all the stuff at the end where they used to wait for me to come back, and then this final close sort of thing and this recap and stuff. I just eliminated that all. I said, was that really adding any value? It really wasn't. So we eliminated it. And you know what that meant is we took our new patient exam from something like an hour and a half long to less than an hour. Now, yes, you might say an hour long exam. Well, I'm a functional neurologist and a board certified pediatric chiropractor, so my exam is very long and lengthy. But regardless of how long mine is or yours is, wouldn't it be great to even if you have a half-hour exam, to take it to a 20-minute exam, right? To be more efficient and more effective. Look at the places where you are doing things like this that are not effective, that are not value added, that are MUDA, M-U-D-A, that are wasted time, and let's get rid of them. And then we looked at our adjustment times. We mapped it out, and they call this a spaghetti diagram, which is the travel that the doctor and the intern have to, or the interns and the patients have to take to deal with those particular patients, and draw arrows to find these patient movements. And was there wasted movement? Was there wasted time? And how do we change that? So here's what we did. We actually changed our entire office setup. We had our setup with closed rooms and closed areas before, and we just knocked everything down and changed everything so that before they used to come in, go to the front desk, then sit down, and they have to go to a room and then go to the front desk and then come back, right? That was just all these, there's like 10 different steps for them to take. Now they walk in, they check in at the front desk, or now we even have a mobile app that they could check in before they even come into the office. They're already checked in. They come in, they sit down for X amount of time, they get adjusted and they leave. So even just changing the office setup was a huge efficiency change. But we started actually measuring, instead of just that, how long did it take for them to see me or one of the interns? Or if you have associates instead of interns, the associates. Obviously, there'll be more demand for the main doctor. So we had an average wait time. We measured this for several weeks. We had an average wait time for me was 15 minutes, and an average wait time for the interns was like between 4 and 7 minutes or so. After we kind of played with this and said, where are the wasted pieces of time? What's happening here? What could we do? We realized that there were more patients that the interns can adjust. There's other things that staff can get done quicker. So what we did is we took things down from 15-minute wait time for me to 7-minute wait time for me. And for 4 to 6 minutes for the interns to not even a minute to like maybe 2 or 3 minutes for the interns. Huge change, right? And the time is money, because this is, if you think about it, it's like a vacuum, right? It's like the theory of a vacuum. If you take this time out, right, now you have more time to see more patients. And what happens is, especially if you have the right mindset, the abundance mindset, you take away that extra time, and it's going to fill up with other patients. And that's exactly what it did. So we actually got way busier. By improving that 7.46 minutes, we had a massive increase in our patient flow, which was very rewarding, because now we're seeing more new patients and we're seeing more existing patients than ever before. Like the pandemic actually has been this huge change for us in a positive way, because what we did is we compressed a lot of things, a lot of our time, so that we're way more efficient. And I think it was an amazing education experience to do Lean Six Sigma, and then to have this pandemic and to see how we can get even more efficient with our time. So in conclusion, the Lean Six Sigma is about accelerating patient flow. Isn't about making doctors and interns faster. Not about saying, all right, let me have a quicker adjustment and skip things. No, it's about focusing on speeding up the patient flow. What can we do to make patient flow better and more efficient? What can we do to reduce delays between steps in patient care that'll actually give the doctor more time with patients, because now you can focus on them and not have to worry about all these backups. I know how it is, docs, when you're sitting there and you got to wait through, like we just did Halloween. Oh my Lord. I hope you had an amazing Halloween like we did. We just had a crazy 3-day Halloween bash, and people were waiting quite a bit. And that's why I brought this back up. Like, we really need to make this more efficient. Now, obviously we had everybody in costumes and we're taking pictures, and I know that was a big issue of the flow, but I think we can make our flow even better. And that's what we want to do. Many of you guys may not know, but I hope you guys join me with ICPA. I speak of something called Enhancing Pediatric Neuroplasticity, which is really how to take care of those special needs neurodivergent populations. And I also just recently did a tongue-tied pediatric midline defect seminar. If you check that link, you can get that website. I also did back in May of this past year, I did a great seminar with Dr. Stephen Porches, the founder and developer of the polyvagal theory, that I call polyvagal informed pediatric chiropractic. If you're interested in learning about how to take care of kids in that special way, to really understand the safety concerns and how to minimize the kid who's neurodivergent and their mindset, check this out. And I have a podcast, I don't know if you guys know that, but it's called Chirocast. It's the longest, at least as far as I know, the longest running podcast in chiropractic. I just published today, I publish every Tuesday, my 481st episode. So I love to hear you, see you listening to it, and let me know what you think about it. Above all else, the most important thing, like I like ending, is to say, protect our future, adjust more kiddos. And my whole thing about what I've been doing the whole year for ChiroSecure is to be disruptive. It's something that I have called disruptive pediatrics. We have to be disruptive. And I think that the Lean Six Sigma concept that you can see here, this is the book by Jay Arthur, the Lean Six Sigma concept, I think is critical for us, because it really takes us to the next level of improving our patient care. So even if you never read this book, although I suggest you do, even never read, but just do the value-added map and do the spaghetti diagram for your regular patient care and the value-added map for your new patients, and then tell me what you find. I'd be really intrigued to hear what you find. You can always email me at rubinchiropractic@gmail.com. I would love to know what you thought about this. Thank you guys so much. I love ChiroSecure. I really appreciate ChiroSecure. To me, there's no better company out there than ChiroSecure. Thank you, Growth Without Risk, for having me here. Next week, we have attorney Mike Misko, who is another great person to help us, which is talk about value added. Think about all these value added things that ChiroSecure does, right? Check out what he does. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.